Supportables to address the elephant in the very different room. Yep, I've been flying for the last 24 to 36 or something, just slept for a couple hours, got to get this out. Not great timing for playoffs. It'll be a bit better into next week, but this is a huge week for us, obviously. The quarterfinal, the two playoff matchups has already happened. Now we're going to our semis. Even if you're just in the consolation like me, you're still trying to play for something to avoid tub thumping. Of course, now in my case, I go up against the number one from last week, but let's not talk about that. Let's not actually talk a lot like this because seeing me on the screen, not what you need to see right now. Let's get to last week's matchups. A little glimpse forward. This one should be a short one. Our top scorer of the week didn't actually technically make the playoffs, so Team Kickass was the top scorer of the four teams that were kicking. Pretty good matchup, both over their performance, and if you look at Malakoff's, they don't really have too much to be upset about. They did have the quarterbacks 4 and 5 on the week. They had the wide receiver 3 and the kicker 3. If you just looked at that and then you looked at Kickass, who only had the defense 2, it would be pretty misleading, though, because I think the difference is if you look at the running back performance, especially considering how important Jonathan Taylor was all year, and certainly the tight end performance, as they mentioned, they were hunting for a tight end that someone had already taken, would have made a huge difference. So the lows were just too low, unfortunately, for Juliet and Lara. Whereas if we look at Team Kickass, they had a few people underperformance, sure. I mean, you want McCaffrey to be much better that in a playoff round, and their wide receivers, JSN and Chase, slightly, if not moderately, underachieved, but everybody did their part, so you can't really complain too much. Even looking at the bench, they did leave their best wide receiver on the bench. Didn't really matter. So Team Kickass is our initial champion, our returning champion, and they made it into the top 4. Congratulations. In the other qualifying matchup, Ball Too Well deserved a bit better than this. There were weeks that they went off, were top scorers. This just wasn't one of their week, but it certainly was one for Pamela. As opposed to the last matchup, though, if we do look, and there are some lows, definitely Pickens was a huge disappointment. He'd been a massive steal. But aside from that, they did have some outstanding. Trey McBride, okay, part of an earlier deal. They was a tight end too, and they did have a good defense, just not the one that they actually started. That would have been the defense 3 to put out on the field there. That would have been helpful. 16 points, not quite, but would have made it real tough, but didn't really matter. And if we actually go down the list here, Pamela's the one that certainly decorated the top 5 a lot more. Kirk Cousins, of all people, quarterback 3, had a running back 4, not surprisingly, her running back of the year. Wide receiver 2, and Nakua, again, when your good people go off. And then a kicker 4 performance, but one of our top kickers. I know she usually has more than one, so she once again made the right decision. So Pamela moves on. Ball Too Well falls down. Our top 4 is now set. We're going to go from consolation on up and look at the matchups, and I'll try not to go too far. And obviously, I mentioned, I'm coming off of a flight, so I've missed the first 2 games. So we're going to see that our predictions are already slightly askew from, let's say, horrible or good kicking performances. When it comes down to Jackie, I'm pretty pumped about that too, right? That was a conscious decision, by the way. Well done, Michael. They haven't run all year, and they ran against a good defense. Love the playoffs. For us, this is really key. We're going to have our 2 consolation matchups. Both teams who have been tub thumped before are still in the mix. Jackie's looking like she's predicted to avoid that. She is really benefiting here from some very nice predicteds from her wide receivers, so she's going to need that. Meanwhile, I'm pretty much Allen or bust because my wide receivers stink, and I got rookie running backs to boot. Let's see what happens. Unfortunately, we're not in the same vicinity to watch these games together. Maybe I don't want to be. The other cross is looking like it could be epic, especially after Stafford's start end. I mean, your kicker getting 14 isn't the worst. Either way, Norkin's going to try to avoid being the first back-to-back or the first repeat tub thumper. 4th and conquer. You deserved a bit better than this. You had seasons of highs, but hey, the only way to make it right now is to avoid being in that basement. I think this one's going to come down to a few key matchups. The other part about losing in the quarter that's not great is now this is your season finale. And we don't really have anything on the line here unless you two would like to, or four would like to bet a little bit. Wouldn't be against that, but I'll leave that one on you. Hopefully, you'll take it seriously. We could do something where seeding matters, but this one's just for pride. The 5th, 6th, we already see Philadelphia got out of the gate and a little over, little under, and then a lot under with Jordan Love. That stinks. Now, this is where you're maybe happy you didn't make the semi. You're never happy, but that would have been even more heartbreaking if that's the thing that knocked you out. Ball too well. Malakoff, you're looking off to an okay start. We'll see how the Sunday goes. Looking at your bench, you do still have some decisions left, and I wouldn't be shocked if there's some last-minute tweaking, but everything looks pretty set to be, well, what could end up being a tighter matchup than we think for 5th place. In semi-final 1, this one's already looking like it's going to be interesting. Caleb Williams with the 4th quarter kind of heroics. Let's leave that for next week. JSN at least did what he should. DJ Moore, I don't want to go in. I'm just now listing players who have already played. I think when it comes down to it, it's going to be your big people. So last week, JSN, Chase, McCaffrey, they didn't necessarily step up. Already one did okay. McCaffrey against Indy could be an interesting matchup. On the flip side of the coin, Drake London being healthy, this is going to be a gutsy start. He's looking okay. No one really knows if he's on a snap count or not. The Raw Doggers don't care. They raw dog everything, so why not this? Don't like the way that came across. Just going to pretend like that didn't happen. They're going to bank on the Chiefs not being a Debbie Downer now that they know that they're out. Dicker the kicker. These are all names that you necessarily want. They are trusting a couple of rookies and a really old person. So a lot is riding on a couple games here. I'd say the Chargers and Dallas game is obviously going to be one they want to pay attention to. Wouldn't shock me if this one came down to the strokes here, but it's the semifinals. What else can you expect? It's going to be really hard to talk about this matchup and just pretend that things didn't already happen. Obviously, though, we've got the potential for a repeat champion. We've never had, not just back-to-back, but repeat at all. So bench just coming out of the gate and being the number 1 seed, already a bit of a victory, but they don't want that to be their championship. It's just hard not to just look at Pac and Nakua there. But, in big weeks, you want your big people to show up. And what's crazy is look at the top 2 quarterbacks from the teams in our semis. This is what might decide our league. You got to love fantasy football. I'm not really sure looking at the bench. I think these are pretty much going to be what they're going to be. It would be kind of surprising. Maybe Gentry maybe not being left out, although Rico Dowdle's been a huge pickup. I would say Marvin Harrison definitely being a questionable is something that Pamela's going to be paying attention to before she goes to bed. But you know what? Like I said, already we know this one is in the making. But would you put it past our number 1 seed to come out and put up a monster number? Absolutely not. Let's see how this one pans out. Might be close, might be breakout. Let's see what happens. Stage is set. If you haven't been paying attention, then why are you in this league? Obviously, we all want to finish on a strong note. It's a bummer about the 5-6. Consolations are playing for it, but realistically, our league is down to 4. Do we have a repeat champion? Do we have a new one? We'll have a few more answers when we get to next week. Best of luck, everybody.